Fanboy Video's coverage of Wizard World Texas is sponsored by SplashPageArt.com, the only place on the web where you can buy original pages from Liber Mayho and other top comic artists.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Good to hear, good to hear.
Your depictions of my favorite comic book scenes, my favorite comic book covers, but dead,
Right.
is so much fun to follow. You do amazing work.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Do you prefer doing original images or making old images dead?
Well, for me, they're all original images.
Yes. Oh, you're right. I'm surprised you didn't backhand me.
No, that's quite right. And it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I like doing it all. Yeah, it's all good.
Your cover art really has exploded over the past 3 years, 4 years.
About 3 years. Yeah, yeah.
Was it Marvel Zombies, you would say, or?
Yeah, it was mostly Marvel Zombies, but I would say it was me starting to work for the mainstream companies. Basically, I've kind of worked on the fringes before that, and I've always had a dual career as a musician as well, professional musician. So, but mostly it was a decision. I made a conscious decision to do working on mainstream characters, and that got me noticed, basically. Yeah.
Because cover art seems to be like for an artist. I mean, if other artists knew about the job of cover artists, man, that is such a great use of time for payoff. I mean, cover art, people want it. People want to buy the original art. Your stuff is outstanding. What's the secret of painting? Like, you always prefer painting, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, I came into the business as a painter. So I came into the business, there happened to be, because of the quality of the paper that they were using in comics at that time, everything was newsprint, and I think they just started to use a little bit fancy paper, but everything was processed coloring, so on the interiors and on the covers as well. So they didn't have any painted covers, and they didn't have painted interiors. So, but when I came up to DC, when I first came into the business, and I showed up at Warren Publishing that did Creepy and Eerie magazine, I showed up with painted comic pages, and they were like, "Wow, this is great, but we can't print this stuff. There's no way to print it." So, so it's kind of that's one of the reasons that I waited a while to start working on mainstream
let the technology
stuff.
catch up with your art.
Yeah, that's really what it was. To let the technology and the readership as well, because also, I mean, I was, I would prefer to work on comics for a more mature readership rather than, I didn't want to work on comics for 8-year-olds.
Right, of course.
I like doing children's books for them, but I don't want to do comic books for such a young audience. But so I was kind of waiting for the medium to grow up, and the stories got a lot more sophisticated, and so then the time was right for me to start working for mainstream comics, and that's kind of what happened. So in the meantime, what I did was I went and worked with some comic magazines that actually were able to print painted work, which was heavy metal, back in the 1970s and 80s, because they were the only one, because they were doing magazines rather than comic books. They had the paper, they had the technology, and they could actually do painted work. So that's why I worked there for a while until comic books, until Alex Ross came along, and then people started to do painted work for comics, and he kind of opened the door, I think, for in mainstream comics for artists doing painted work.
Tell me about Skin Deep.
What would you like to know? Okay.
Well, when is it coming out?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah. How about that?
That's a tough question. Oh, he's tough. This guy, he's tough.
No, come on. Yeah. That's the easy one.
That's an easy one.
Now tell me, but tell me, it's a yes or no. But tell me.
It's easy for you to say. Well, I've been working on that one for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, for about 10 years, off and on, and I'm really close to having it finished now. So, but that is it's a zombie.
It's a zombie.
My own zombie series, mini-series that I've been working on, and it'll be probably a 4 or 5 parter.
When we say your own.
Yes, I mean, I wrote it, and I'm doing all the interiors, and it's painted work as well.
Wow. Who's it? Where's it coming out? Where's it coming out?
That'll be through Dynamic Forces, most likely.
Nice.
If they behave
like
themselves.
Nick Barucci.
Yeah, like we love Nick. Yes.
We love Nick.
Yes.
Nick, let's make this thing happen, right?
Nick, let's make this thing happen. He's already down for it. He's game. He's calling me and saying,
"Where's my book?
Where's my book?
Huh? It needs to get finished.
Pardon me?
It needs to get finished. What's the
holdup?
holdup?
Needs to be finished. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The holdup is that it takes so long to do to paint interior pages.
Yes.
It's really time consuming.
Well, I'm excited about it. Something that you're writing yourself.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, hey, you seem like a very busy guy.
You
have beautiful ladies waiting for you.
We try to stay off the unemployment line. What can I say?
But dude, the work is outstanding.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and for your work.
Well, thank you. Pleasure, always a pleasure. Anytime.